Hello and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Waypoint. What you just heard was my chair creaking, not some ancient creature dying in the background, although you can make an argument that my chair might fit the bill. Today we are playing old school RuneScape. More specifically, we are playing Leagues 5, Raging Echoes. My first time playing Leagues, and there will be an edited gameplay video coming out of my time in it. I'm always hesitant to include old school RuneScape as background footage for gameplay because a lot of it is this. It's me fishing and staying in one location. It's not exactly the most interesting gameplay to look at, let's be real. I think I've done stuff like Temporos runs in the past, but all the same, I figured today, because this is the main headline, the main article, this will be today's background gameplay. I've sped up the fishing portion of the video a little bit because it's a little bit less interesting than the Slayer portion of the video. Past Kritigri will be talking in his friend's chat channel. I implore you to ignore him. It's difficult to focus on two people talking at the same time. He's not going to say anything of value anyway. Honestly, I don't know why I keep that guy around. It's certainly not for his dashing good looks. I've just realised that today is episode 345, which is fun because it's 345. You know, we had a 123, we had a 234, and now we got a 345. When you've been doing this for as long as I have, you find fun in the small things. So yes, old school RuneScape. I mostly play RuneScape 3, as people who follow the channel will surely know, but I do like to dabble with old school every now and then. I've never done a league, and if you don't know what leagues are, they're basically a remixed version of the game where there are boosted XP rates, there are perks to unlock which break the game in really fun ways. This is something that retro MMOs have been doing recently, and I don't know if people really use the term retro MMOs. I've seen classic MMOs thrown around a bit, but whatever. When you think of old school RuneScape and WoW Classic and stuff like that, they've been experimenting with doing like seasonal things where they just mess up the game in fun ways that make you feel extremely overpowered for like limited rewards, and I'm a big fan of that. Now, I've known of Leagues for a while. I was playing during Leagues 4, but I didn't actually jump into it. Or maybe it was Leagues 3, I don't know. Because I was still learning old school RuneScape at the time, and I had concerns that playing in this separate game mode with boosted XP and perks and stuff that you get for going and unlocking and doing things in a certain way, it would be lost on me because I wasn't all that familiar with old school. And I brought this concern up with people and they said to me, oh no, it's actually good to play Leagues if you're not super familiar with old school because it can be a really fun way to get to late game quickly, to check out like bossing and like learn bossing in like a safer environment, that kind of thing. But I am just gonna go ahead and say it, we're like a week into this league, well not even that, but I'm here like, I keep seeing people who are far ahead of me, and they're like, oh, obviously I did this to do this, to do this, to get this, to do this, to level this up in like an hour. And I'm like, oh, yeah, those options never even occurred to me because I'm not that familiar with old school RuneScape. And that's the kind of thing I was talking about. And yeah, it's still a fun game mode. I'm happy I'm playing it. I'm having a fantastic time, and it doesn't matter really to me, like how far ahead other people are compared to me. But it does kind of make me feel a little bit foolish to be like, oh yeah, I've been playing this for like probably 15-20 hours, probably a bit more than that by now, and I'm a lot further behind than people who are, similar amounts of time into the game. It's the kind of thing where I'm like, okay, I don't really know what areas I should unlock because, certain areas are locked in this game and you have a limited amount of unlocks, so that kind of tests your knowledge of game-specific things. Like, if you're going to be leveling these things, it's best to unlock these things to go here. And I'm like, I've asked people like, oh, what would you recommend? I'm not going for like the leaderboards or anything, but if I'm just doing this, and they're like, oh, you go here because of this, and this, and like they give like abbreviated versions or like acronyms of certain things, and I'm like, okay, that's not helpful because I don't know what those things are. And while it's impossible to truly know just how much people know about the game that you're telling them, I think MMO players in general have this bad habit of just assuming that the base level of knowledge is a lot deeper than it actually is. And I've been playing this game since 2007, so I did play this game back in the day. But yeah, no, I recommend Leagues all the same because it is just super fun to like have insanely fast XP rates and to get these relics which just break the game, like Golden God. You'll see later in the video that I chose Golden God. Basically, you cast alchemy for free. There's a 65% chance to not consume the item you're doing alchemy on. It automatically recasts without you pressing any buttons, so you can basically just level magic and get super rich while doing other things and not thinking about it. It's very silly that way, and I like that. This has had the knock-on effect, though, of me not really wanting to play normal old-school RuneScape ever again, because the XP gains are going to feel glacial in comparison. They already feel pretty slow compared to RuneScape 3, and I've got one of those distractible brains that doesn't just want to grind against a brick wall the entire time. Like a moth to a flame, I am drawn to incredibly long projects, like, you know, classic / retro MMOs with their extremely long grinds, or like really long fucking stories like the Wheel of Time, and at the same time I do not have the capacity to stay on task long enough. I mean, you know, unless I'm really determined, in which case I can finish the Wheel of Time in 3.5 years or whatever it was. Yeah, I'm bringing that up again. So yeah, to summarize with leagues, I'm in two minds about it. I'm having a really fun time, and it's really funny how ridiculous some of these perks and XP boosts are, but also I feel a little bit lost, and that does bug me a little bit. In other news, there is a Steam sale, because of course it was Black Friday. It's around that time of year where things generally go on sale, and I'm not here to like throw sales things at you to try and get you to buy them. I have no stake in this. I am #not sponsored. I just am invested in a Steam sale for the first time in a little bit, because, you know, I wanted to get myself a little something. I didn't know what to get myself, because I don't have a huge budget right now, but I knew it wanted to be an RPG of some sort. I was very surprised twice to find games which I thought were only on Nintendo Switch ported to Steam without me noticing. The first thing I was surprised to see was Etrian Odyssey 1, 2, and 3 HD have been ported to Steam from Switch, and I actually initially bought these, picked them up because the collection was on sale for about £30, a little bit less, and the main problem critics had with this game when I was looking it up was the asking price for the individual games. So it was actually a pretty deep discount for those games. And if you don't know, Etrian Odyssey is an RPG where you it was originally a DS game. It's where you map out dungeons as you go through them. It's a dungeon crawling adventure, but on the bottom screen on the DS, or just like on the side on like the Steam version, you draw the map as you go, and it's this really satisfying little gameplay hook. I've played a little bit of one of the Etrian Odysseys because it went on super deep discount a few days before the Nintendo 3DS eShop went offline. So I thought that would scratch the itch, but when I played a little bit of Etrian Odyssey 1, I noticed it's actually like an older version of Etrian Odyssey. Apparently the 3DS versions added some stuff that aren't in the new remakes. I don't know why developers have been doing this lately. They've been remaking games without the improvements of the previous remakes. Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters, I'm looking at you. And I actually ended up refunding it in the end, just because it wasn't quite scratching the itch like I wanted it to, when I was regretting the money spent. But the other thing that I was surprised to see had been ported to Steam in the previous year, another Square Enix RPG. Wait, no, that wasn't Square Enix. Etrian Odyssey is Atlas, so that's Sega. Don't mind me, just getting my publishers mixed up. Anyway, Live Alive is a HD 2D remake of a SNES era JRPG that was announced in a Nintendo Direct a few years ago, and I fell in love at first sight with this game, and I've been waiting for it to go on sale ever since. It is currently on sale on Switch for £20, and I was tempted, but I'm really glad that I just took the time to browse Square Enix's entire catalogue on Steam, because I would have had no idea that it was on Steam if I hadn't done that. It's £16 on Steam, and I ended up picking that up, and that I feel so happy with. It's the perfect price point and the perfect amount of interest. I got myself a little something in the Steam sale that I'm super excited about. I'm in two minds about whether to start it yet, because I'm still not all that far into Dragon Quest III HD 2D, and while I am easily distracted and my brain does want to start Live Alive immediately, I would also like to spend a little bit more time in Dragon Quest III before giving it the old cold shoulder. But I'm super excited for this game. For those of you who don't know what Live Alive is, it's this JRPG where I've seen it described as like Octopath meets Chrono Trigger. By the way, I've never played Chrono Trigger. That is on the to play list someday. But basically, think of it as Octopath, except instead of starting in different places, you're starting in different time periods. So you've got like prehistory, you've got like, end of Edo Japan, I think it's called. You've got like modern times when it's kind of like a martial artist. You've got like near future and far future. There's a few others in there as well that I haven't mentioned. And apparently from reviews I've seen, it's like this really unique, like it's got lots of little gameplay quirks which make it quite a unique RPG as well. But just every time I watch the trailer, just everything about that game screams like, buy me. It looks so good. And I'm beyond chuffed I landed on it, because I was considering Octopath Traveler 1 or Octopath Traveler 2, couldn't afford both. But they are both still on Game Pass, and I have started both of them. I've played a little bit of both of them. And the thing is, I'm kind of over RPGs coming to Game Pass, because I know I never finish them in time before they leave, and then I have to end up buying them, and usually I end up buying them somewhere else because it's cheaper somewhere else, and then I have to start over again on a save file. Like, I'll still be excited when an RPG comes to Game Pass, like I tried out Trials of Mana, but it definitely feels like I'm renting a game instead of having access to that game in the way Game Pass wants me to think about it. To me, there is value in buying an RPG because I can approach it at my own pace, in my own time. I can play a bit of it, forget about it for a year and then come back to it and play a little bit more, which is of course not the most optimal way to enjoy an RPG, because you will forget parts of a story, you will have to reacquaint yourself with how the game plays and what you were doing in said game, but it's the best we got in this brain chemistry I've got going on. I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition for like 3 years now, and I'm not even halfway through it. And now that I've kind of changed my philosophy regarding what I turn into an edited gameplay video, I probably will not have edited gameplay videos to fall back on to remind myself what was happening last time I played either, so that's just great. But yeah, on my Steam sale adventures, I also noticed a few things. I noticed that, hilariously, you can buy the individual Mass Effects pre-Legendary Edition, the original releases, for £4 each right now. Or you can buy the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which includes all 3 games remastered, for £4. I don't know why it's cheaper to buy the new version of the game, but there it is. Do not buy Mass Effect 2 2010 edition for £4. Buy Mass Effect Legendary Edition for £4. It includes Mass Effect 2 and it looks prettier. By the way, I think I bought Mass Effect Legendary Edition for full price when it came out, and I have no regrets. I wish I'd do a Dragon Age Legendary Edition, but apparently a lot of the source code for that stuff is lost to time, which is a huge bummer. A few other things. Forza Horizon 4 is currently £10. I'm mentioning this because Forza Horizon 4 will be delisted on December 15th, I believe, so if you have any ideas about whether a game like that would be enjoyable to you, you should pick it up, because it is one of the best open world racing games ever made, in my opinion, and many others. But unfortunately, due to licensing, it's gonna go off sale. And yeah, I remember I bought Forza Horizon 3 from a key reseller because it had gone off sale digitally like a year before. Or it might not have been a year, it might have been a few months before, I don't remember anymore, but I was very lucky to be able to get that. And I cannot recommend that game enough if you enjoy racing games. It's stellar. The servers are still going to be up, it's probably still going to have a healthy player base. It's worth checking out. Also, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is currently half price, it's £25 on PC. It's the only Ratchet & Clank game to ever make it to PC, and as a Ratchet & Clank gamer enthusiast, it's one of my favourite gaming series of all time. I cannot recommend it enough, although, due to that ADHD thing we were talking about earlier, I've yet to finish it myself. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart and Baldur's Gate 3 are probably the highest on my guilty purchases of, like, I think last year. I think I bought both of those games for full price at some point last year, and I've played like half of Rift Apart maybe, and I've barely touched Baldur's Gate 3, which I just saw recently got an update which added like subclasses, new subclasses to like every class in the game, and they just put that out as like a free minor update, which is insane. Lastly, in terms of sales, I noticed Monster Hunter Generations on Switch is currently like £8, and that's a sale that's going to last until the end of December, so thankfully I can wait until like my next payday or whatever if I'm still interested in that. I'm not a huge Monster Hunter guy, but like, I really love the idea of Monster Hunter Generations, like this kind of remaster that smashes a bunch of older games together and puts them on like a new system. And I think £8 is the right price for that for me, so I might pick that up at some point in the future. Now that we know that the Switch library is going to be backwards compatible to the next Switch, I think we know that, if I remember right. I feel a lot happier about continuing to buy Switch games. I was definitely holding off for a while there. Also, I'm in the mood for like a tycoon style game, like, you know, the modern ones are like 2 Point Hospital and 2 Point Campus. There's also this one called Mega Aquarium, this little indie game which I've been interested in a while, which is about basically running an aquarium. I love aquariums. I love everything about like just the vibes of an aquarium, and I think having a tycoon game based around that sounds pretty neat, so I might grab that. That's like £6 right now. Not that they need promotion from me, but I also want to mention that Jingle Jam has started, the Yogscast charity drive they do every year, and their £35 bundle of games, excuse me, has 2 Point Campus in it. I think. Let me check. Yes, it does. It also has Shadows of Doubt and For the King 2. These are games which I've been interested in for a little while, so that's tempting. May pick that up at a later date. Anyway, sorry this video has been like shopping the video, but I haven't really played a bunch of new games this week. I've mostly just been playing old school RuneScape, so I thought it might be fun to have a poke around the sales sphere. It's worth mentioning, me and my friends did pick up Sea of Thieves. We didn't pick it up, you know, it was on Game Pass, but we picked up kind of like the activity of going pirating on the Sea of Thieves, and that's been a lot of fun. No new news there regarding the game. It's still the same game it's been. I mean, I'm sure it's been getting, you know, like seasonal updates for the last few years. I can't say I've specifically noticed anything super new, but when I'm playing Sea of Thieves, I'm not really playing it for the game, if you know what I mean. I kind of let other people choose and decide what we're going after, what we're doing, where we're going, what missions we're pursuing. I'm just kind of there to have a good time and be a sailor. For me, the entirety of that game is just fucking around in a boat and trying not to die. In terms of my reading adventures this week, I have continued to sink most of my reading time into Empire of Silence by Christopher Ruocchio. I am currently about 85% of the way through that book, so there will probably be a blurble reasoning on that sometime this week. I'm very excited to talk about this book in full spoilerific detail and all the things I love about it. I did also spend a little bit of time continuing Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. I can tell you that our party are looking for some people and their backs hurt. That's about as far as I got through chapter 2. Don't ever say I don't keep things spoiler free. But yeah, I think that's about going to do it for me for this episode of Weekly Waypoint. I won't keep you for too much longer. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I hope you will return next week for more. That's not my usual sign off. I don't know if I have a usual sign off, but that wasn't it.